Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to take you onto a journey through calculating history. I have recently acquired a new calculator, or a new device as you might say, and I'm going to make a little video. On the left here we have a slide rule. I'm sure some of you already have seen this. In the middle we have the Curta calculator, which is the newest addition to my collection, and on the right we have the HP 35 scientific calculator. The slide rules were founded or invented in the 1620 to 1630 years, after the discovery or the invention of logarithms, and they have been around for a long time. In the middle here we have the Curta type 1, which went into production in 1948. Then in 1954 the type 2 Curta was introduced, and they were in production until 1972. Right about in 1972 the HP 35 was introduced, which was the world's first scientific electronic calculator. The Curta is the world's smallest mechanical calculator, which can do all four basic math operations, which is addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. And the HP 35 on the right side also can do sine, logarithms, cosine and stuff like that. Okay, on to the slide rule here. This particular one is made by Nestler, and the model number is number 21. The slide rule is made up with three parts: the slide rule body, and excuse me if this is not the right terminology of this device, but we have the body, as I'm calling it, this little slide here, and this carriage, which has a little line here. And how this works: if you, let's say we want to do a calculation like 5 times 8, for example, what you would do is you would slide this part here, or you would look here at this indication, or the one on the top here, and slide the slide rule to number 5, and then we would slide the carriage to the top number 8, so that is 5 times 8, and now we would read the number from the middle slide here, and that gives us the answer, which is of course 40. And that's how you do multiplication on a slide rule. So on to the next device, which is the HP 35. The HP 35 was introduced in 1972 and was in production until 1975. It was the world's first scientific calculator, or the world's first desk scientific electronic calculator. And what that really means is this device is able to compute or calculate sine, cosine, or x over e logarithms and stuff like that. So let's turn it on with this little power switch on top of here, and now the beautiful LED, the classic HP LED display comes to life. And now you can start with your calculations. This isn't your normal calculator. The people of you that know HP calculators are aware that the classic HP calculators worked with RPN, or reverse Polish notation, and what it is, you first put in your numbers which you would want to make a calculation with, and after that you put in your operation. So just a little demonstration here, the same calculation as before. 5 times 8 equals still 40, and you saw how I did that. I just put in the number, it appears in the display, I press enter, then this number gets put into the stack, and I now can enter the next number, and after that I have to put in the operator, which is in this case the times operator or the multiplication, and it calculates that for you. Onto the main features, which are the advanced math capabilities of this calculator. Let's say we want to calculate the sine of 30. It works the same principle. We put the number in our case 30, put the sine, push the sine button, and your result appears, and which is of course 0.5. Then you can clear the X register, or on the top here, and you're ready to do your next calculation. Let's do another one, or let's do something different. If I have to calculate different things, I can also store a number, and if I need that number, I can recall it. I can't assign a specific register or something like that, because this calculator is not programmable. But if I wanted to remember a number for later calculation, I can do that with the store and recall buttons. So let's come back to the stack, which is the main feature, or a specific feature about the classic HP calculators. This calculator has 4 registers, which are called the stack. We have the X, Y, Z and T registers. The X register is whatever is on the screen. The Y register is the one which comes after that, and then Z and then T. So let's try inputting 4 numbers into the stack. Let's say 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now those 4 numbers are in the stack, and with this R button, with the little arrow here, we can roll into the stack, or you have to think of it like a cylinder or a circle, where you just go around in the stack. So if we press this button, 3 will appear, then 2, and then 1, and once again 4. If we put in more than 4 numbers, let's say 5 numbers, let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So the first number which is put in will get lost or dropped. So let's look at the stack again. 5 is the last number we have put in. It is in the X register. Y register is 4. Z is 3 and T is 2. And because we only have 4 registers, if I press this button again, we will end up back again at 5 and 1 is lost. We can clear the whole stack with this CLR button, or just the X, and the other ones are still there. With this one the whole stack gets cleared, and that is the basic operation of this calculator. So let's go on to the main event of today's video, the Curta calculator. It comes in a little box or in a container which is made from aluminium, and on the back here it says open. So let's just do that. Inside here is the Curta, which is stored quite nicely, and it's really durable. Let me pull it out, and here it is. So before we go into calculating action, let's just quickly cover the history side of things, or some general information about it. So it was invented by Curt Herzstark from Austria. It was put into production in 1948 and was in production until 1972. It was manufactured by the company which is called Contina AG in Mauren, which is in Liechtenstein. The operation is purely mechanical, so not like the HB35, which was an electronic calculator. The Curta only relied on mechanical cranking of the crank, or of the operating handle, as they call it in the manual. It has 600 or around 600 precision-made parts, and it is, like you can see, in a cylindrical form factor. The first model, which is the one you can see here, is the Curta Type 1. It was the first produced in 1948. It had the input sliders had a digit count of 8, so you could enter a number which was 8 digits big. On the top you have the result counter, which has 11 digits, and the turns counter has 6 digits. It is approximately 85 millimeters tall, not considering the handle. With the handle it's quite a bit taller, and it has a diameter of about 65 millimeters, or about 55, I would say. Of this unit they approximately made 80,000 units until 1972, and you had quite a bit of variation inside of the models. So not every model from start to finish was exactly the same. In the year 1954, the Curta Type 2 was introduced, and the only difference there was it had 11 digit input sliders, or input sliders for 11 digits, and it had a bit bigger result counter, which in the Curta Type 2 displayed up to 15 digits, and a bigger turn counter with 8 digits. It was also a bit larger and a bit heavier, and they made about 60,000 units, so a little bit less than the Curta Type 1. It was developed back in the 1930s by Curt Herzstark, but in 1943 to 45 about, he finalized his design while being imprisoned in the Buchenwald concentration camp, and in 1948 the mass production started in Liechtenstein. Its applications ranged from rally sport up to engineering, over everyday life situations for finance or currency conversation, to science topics like navigation or table calculations. So there really was a wide application or a wide field in which the Curta was utilized. It got a little bit, I would say, the market shifted from mechanical calculators like the slide rule, or in this fact the Curta, over to electronic calculators like the HP35 or different ones, as they became more affordable and widely known. So let's finally go over what the Curta does, how it works, and what it can do. I also have the manuals here, this little booklet. It is in German, but I also have one in English, and the user's manual, but we won't go into further details in this video. So let me give you a quick rundown of the Curta calculator. Alright, so after you took your Curta calculator out of its container, the first thing you want to do is you put this handle here, the clearing lever, into place, and it locks here. It has a little pin, so you are ready to do some calculation. But first, let's go over the different things or handles and settings and all of that. So on the top here you have the operating handle. You can crank this in a clockwise orientation to do your calculations. You here have these little knobs. I have 5 of those on the top. You can slide them around as you wish, and what you would do with those are the decimal markers. You can put those wherever you want, so that you know where your decimal point is. Then on the next part is the carriage here. You can lift the carriage up and turn it around. With this you can change the tens, or you can Well, if you have it in this position, you have a little arrow here which indicates your carriage position. If you have it in the 1 position, you can just put your number in from start to 8, and what you can do is you can shift your the carriage by a digit, so you can do quite some interesting things with that, but I don't want to go into detail right now. I just want to give you a quick overview. So let's put that back. And the next thing is the setting dial, which is down here. It is currently set to all zeros, but what you would do with those, you would set your setting register, which is these things here with the so-called setting knobs. You can slide those up and down, and then you can input a number from 0 all the way to 9. And on the bottom here you also have a decimal marker, so if you want to put in a decimal number you can do that and keep track of your decimal point with this little decimal marker here. Okay, so now we look from the top down onto the Curta calculator. You can see here the 2 registers, or your result counter, which is the black one here, in which you have 11 digits, or your results can have up to 11 digits, and your turn counter, the silver one here, which indicates how many times you have turned the crank handle, or the operating handle as they call it in the manual. And right here you have the clearing leveler. So let me just explain what that does. If you pull up your carriage and turn your lever around, it will clear whatever is up here. Okay, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's actually do some calculations with the Curta calculator. Let's say we wanted to add 2 numbers. For example, if we want to add 1948. You will put in your number on the setting register. In this example it is 1000 down here. Then you will turn around your crank 1 time, and now you have your first number on the top here in your result counter. And I see now I have made a mistake. I have put in a number on to the 7th digit, but that is good, so I can demonstrate you how to clear your registers on the top here. Also on your counter register has appeared on the counter register a 1 has appeared, and that is because I have cranked the handle 1 time. So to clear your register on the top, you just have to pull up the carriage and pull the clearing lever a full revolution and put your carriage back, and now you can see the numbers are gone. So let's undo this mistake here and let our number 1 be 1000. Crank the handle. 1000 will appear in the result register on the top here. Then our second number is 948. So let's put that number in. 948. And that is the second number. So we now, if I crank the handle one more time, we will add whatever number is down here in the setting register to the existing number in the result register. So let's do it. And as you can see, we successfully added 1948, which of course equals in 1948. In our count register now a 2 has appeared, which indicates that we have cranked the handle 2 times. It is quite a coincidence because 1948 is the date when this calculator was introduced. And let's say we want to do a subtraction. What do we do now? So let's say we want to calculate for how long the Curta was manufactured. So we take our first number, which is 1972. This is the date where the Curta type 1 and 2 were discontinued. So let's clear that and put in 1972. 1972. Crank the handle, put it in our result register on the top here. And now the second number, which is 1948. 1948. And now to subtract whatever, or let's say if you want to subtract something from this number on the register on the top here, what you want to do is you have to pull out your operating handle. Have you seen that? I just pulled it up, and now the Curta calculator is put into subtraction mode. And what this does is it subtracts whatever number is down here in the setting register from your top result register. So let's calculate for how many years the Curta type 1 was in production. 1972 minus 1948 equals 24 years. So the Curta type 1 was in production for 24 years. And that's how you do subtraction and addition on the Curta calculator. So let's go on with multiplication. For this one I'm taking an example from the manual right here. And this equation is 8549.2 times 0.03204. So let's do that. First we have to check if everything is set right. That means cleared zeros, and this little lever down here is in the top position. What that does, I will show you when we do a division, but let's not concern ourselves with that right now. I will put in 8549.2 into the setting registers. So we start at the first here. We will put in a 2, then a 9, 4, 5, and 8. 8549.2, and the decimal point is already here. Okay, so our number 1 is put in. Then on the on our registry, on our result register on the top here, we have to put in the decimal point right before the 6th digit, because you have to add the two decimal points of the two numbers, so you know where to put the top decimal place. So we have 8549.2, so there is one decimal place, and 0.03204, which is 5 decimal places. 1 plus 5 equals 6, so right before the 6th marking on the top here. So what do we do now? How do we do multiplications? We do multiplication by adding, basically. So now we can focus ourselves onto the counting register here. We want to achieve the 0.03204 on the top of here. And how are we going to do that? Well, we start with the lowest decimal place of our second number, which is 4. So we put the carriage in the first position and crank the handle 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, which leaves us with a 4 on top of here. We set the carriage to our second place and crank the handle 0 times, because at that place there is a 0. So we go to the next one, which is a 2. We crank the handle 2 times. The next one on the place 4 is a 3. So we crank it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And now in our counting register, you have to imagine the dots here, because there are 3 here, but it's set to 0.03204. So now that number is multiplied by that number, which equals 273.916368. And there you have your result. So let's just double check that with the HP35 right here. Okay, so let's verify our calculation with the HP35. So we put in 8549.2, enter 0.03204, multiply that, and we get 273.916368. And on the Curta we get 273.916368. 273.916368. 273 0.916368. So that is the correct answer, and we get the same on the HP35 and on the Curta. That is great. Okay, let's get to division. There are a couple of ways how to do division, but in this video I will only show a simple one, which is division by subtraction. You could also do division by multiplication, and you can do all sorts of complex, well, not complex in the sense of complex numbers, math, but like advanced with decimal points and whatnot. But in this video I just want to show you one simple way how you could do a division. So let's do that. Let's divide 40 by 8. To do that, you have to set 40, put it into the result register on top with 40 up there, and then what you would do is you would put in your second number, which is 8 in our case. And now what I do, I will clear the counter register like that, and you noticed you can leave the clearing lever here or here, but not on a other place. Only those two places you can leave it. So now this little lever comes into play here. What this lever do, it is quite simple. If you crank the handle in the adding position, which is when it's pushed down, it will continuously add 1 to the counting register. But if you pull it up into the subtraction mode, what it will do, it will also subtract from the counting register. And what this lever does here is, if you put it into the down position, what it essentially does, it will still count up when you're in the subtraction mode. So we put this down, so we still count up. We have put 8 here, 40 up here, and what we do now, we crank the handle until in the result register all zeros. Well, we do a subtraction of 8 from 40 until the result shows 0. Okay, so let's do that. 32, 24, 16, 8 and 0. And now we have our result in the counting register. And in the counting register we now have the number 5, which is the result. And that's how you do a simple division on the Curta calculator. Alright, so that's it for today. I hope you liked this little video about the Curta calculator, but also about the HP35 and a little bit about the slide rule, but mainly about the Curta. If you want to see more videos like this, for example about calculators or stuff like that in particular, let me know down in the comments. And my final verdict of owning the Curta, it has not been long since I have this fantastic little calculator. I must say the the build quality is astonishing. It is really well made. It is a pleasure to use, and it just brings joy using this little device. I currently have vacation, but when I'm back at work I will certainly do some real calculations with it, and that would be fun. So let me know down in the comments what you think about the Curta or this video in general, and I will end this video with a little audio recording of the calculator, because the setting and calculation is just a joy to the ears. So goodbye for now, take care and good luck and goodbye.